Hello, good people of the internet. This is Depth Charge back with another incredibly overdue video essay. This might be my last video that covers politics for a very long time, since I want to focus on other topics on this channel, and I need to get back to posting content on my extremely neglected video game channel.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
I got a proposal. How about a 2-cent wealth tax? I know, just sounds little, because it is. Here's the deal. Here's this proposal. For your 50 millionth and first dollar of wealth, we want 2 cents. And 2 cents for every dollar after the 50 millionth and first, okay? It's a wealth tax.
Today, we do something about that in a very significant way, to sign into law the minimum wage of $15 an hour, to give voice to the power and the fervor and the belief of all the people standing here and all the people they represent.
The time has come to say that Medicare is an excellent program for senior citizens in this country. But the time has come also to say that we need to expand Medicare to cover every man, woman, and child as a single-payer national health care program.
The video montage I put together are examples of political candidates and office holders doing what they do best, proposing policies or bragging about newly enacted policies that restrict our freedom. And these policies do exactly that. When the government says you are not allowed to own an AR-15, or all businesses must pay employees at least $15 an hour, or everyone is required by law to pay into the Medicare for All federal program, then our freedom is being seriously restricted, more than it should be. You may have noticed something about the politicians in the video montage. They are all Democrats. I had hoped that the Democratic Party wouldn't control both bodies of the legislature and the White House in 2021 and beyond, but that is where we are. One of the purposes of this video is to talk about this party, this pathetic excuse for a political party, and where I know this party will lead us into the future. The election of 2020, whether it was legitimate or not, resulted in the oldest political party in United States history being given control over 2 of our branches of government. So now is the time to hold them accountable and hold their feet to the fire. In no way is this video fair and balanced. This video is all about the Democrats and how awful they are. Back to restrictions of our freedoms. This is what the Democratic Party does best. They restrict our freedom in every way imaginable. As long as any of us have been alive, the Democratic Party has been in favor of the federal income tax on our income. And today's Democratic Party favors a federal income tax that is progressive, where higher incomes are taxed at higher rates. And what is the Democrat plan for taxes moving forward? Well, to increase them, of course. Joe Biden's plan calls for the increasing of the highest individual income tax bracket to almost 40%, and to increase the corporate income tax from 21 to 28%. Individuals earning more than $400,000 a year would be subject to additional payroll taxes, and there will be more penalties associated with inheriting an estate. In other words, less money for individuals and businesses and more money for the government. You see, the Democratic Party loves money for the government because they love government programs. Government programs are the lifeblood of the Democratic Party. Without them, this party has no purpose. Down on your luck and short on cash, the government is here to help. Need a loan to attend college? The government can provide. Need medical insurance? Healthcare.gov is waiting for you to fill out an application. And if the Democratic Party has their way, there will be no other choice for health insurance than to come to the federal government under Medicare for All. No choices, no freedom, no competition. Just come to the government for your health insurance, whether we like it or not. Switching gears a little, but still focusing on the Democratic Party. Where do the Democrats maintain an infinite amount of political power at the local level? The answer is the big cities. And how do all the big cities fare under the wise leadership of the Democrats? The cost of living is high, businesses are literally burning to the ground, and the poverty and homelessness problem is only getting worse. What you see now on the screen are pictures I took last month while visiting my state's capital, Austin. I used to live in Austin about 20 years ago, and these tent communities on the sides of the road and under highways didn't exist back then. Heck, I don't remember seeing these tent communities 5 years ago, but there they are, and apparently they're there to stay under the city's current leadership. There will always be a political force in every society that wants the people to be ruled by force, and this is exactly what the Democrats want. They stand for the forcible rule of the people by the government. I have provided a number of examples earlier of how the Democrats want to rule, but I have yet to talk about one of the most important freedoms of all that is under assault: freedom of speech. This freedom is under assault at a very high level, maybe the highest level that it has ever been in the USA's history. The First Amendment to the Constitution reads, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." The text of the First Amendment is powerful, very powerful, for all the right reasons. These freedoms and rights are not granted by the government. These are freedoms and rights that should not be infringed upon by the government. This concept is lost to the members of the Democratic Party because they are doing everything they can to intimidate free speech and squash it. And they are doing it under the cloak of private companies managing platforms to stop the spread of misinformation, lies, and hate speech. And do these companies apply their standards fairly across the landscape of posts and video uploads? Of course not. They are very selective as to which accounts are banned or which tweets are labeled as being disputed by the fact checkers. I have had the displeasure of scanning the new president's tweets, and not one is flagged or covered up by the powers that be at Twitter. Speaking of lying, the Democrats love to lie. They might just be addicted to lying. During the impeachment trial in the Senate earlier this month, Eric Swalwell presented doctored evidence to make his case. It's not my opinion that Eric Swalwell presented doctored evidence. It's a fact that he displayed a tweet on the floor of the Senate where a verification checkmark was added. Another lie that Eric Swalwell told was when he was reading one of the tweets, and he used the wrong word repeatedly. Cavalry is the word he used, and Calvary is the actual word that was clearly displayed on the screen. Jamie Raskin continued the very fine people misquote of President Trump as he attempted to make his case as an impeachment manager. What are the consequences for this outrageous behavior? For Democrats, it's usually nothing except being called out for their lies in some of the media, and then it's business as usual for those who are reelected. For the next 2 years, the lawmaking power in this country will be controlled by the Democratic Party. This sorry excuse for a political party has been making promises and breaking those promises for a very, very long time, like ending gun violence, fixing our healthcare system, etc. I want to be positive, I really do, but this is the Democratic Party we're talking about. This is the party of LBJ, who declared a war on poverty in 1964, and the party of Bill Clinton, who signed the unconstitutional federal assault weapons ban in 1994. How did that work out for us? We still have lots of poverty, and we still have gun violence. So at what point do the voters of this country realize the truth that is staring us in the face about this political party, that it is an abject failure in every way? Probably never, to be perfectly honest. It should be obvious, I hope, why I chose the wording of the title of this video. I don't enjoy saying this, but it's a fact that we don't live in a free society. All we have to do is look at the outrageous spending and the programs of our federal government to see that we don't live in a free society. Late last year, Walter Williams died. He was an economist, teacher, and the author of many books. I own 2 of them, both of which I highly recommend. I am rarely affected emotionally when someone who I never met in person dies, but I am very sad that he is gone. Dr. Williams has had a very significant impact on my views and opinions about economics, freedom, and prosperity. I have watched many of his debates and speeches, and what you are about to see is a clip where he makes the case that there is a significant portion of the population of this country that do not hold liberty in high regard.
Most Americans believe that it is okay for government to forcibly use one American to serve the purposes of another American. And in fact, 2/3 to 3/4 of the federal budget is precisely that. That is where Congress takes the property of one American and gives it to another American in the name of crop subsidies, business bailouts, welfare, food stamp, and a host of other programs. Now, can you imagine what the American people would do to a presidential candidate today making the same comments? The American people would run him out of town on a rail, because we indeed believe that it's okay, if you find a good enough reason, to take the money of one American and give it to another to whom it does not belong. They believe that it's a duty of Congress to spend the money of their constituents for the purposes of benevolence.
He is spot on with that analysis. The voters of this country vote for politicians who have a contempt for liberty because the voters themselves have a contempt for liberty. Too many of us have accepted the lie that the purpose of government is to provide charity, healthcare, housing, and many other things that the government has no business trying to provide. Here is another clip from Williams where he lays out the case that we do not live in a free society.
If I say to the federal government, I will pay my share of the constitutionally mandated functions of the federal government, I will be happily, but I will not have my earnings go to farmers, go to bail out big banks. You'll see all the intimidation, threats, and oppression that I would want to see.
I think America meets any normal person's basic definition of we are living in a free society here. This is not Plato's Republic. This is not the Soviet Union.
We're not living in a free society.
When we walk out of our home, what must we do in most of the United States of America, the supposed land of the free? We have to put on a thin piece of material that covers the mouth and nose because it's the law. We are literally told to restrict our breathing because a governor says so in an executive order. And these masks are not going away anytime soon because our leaders have decided to treat us like children and tell us what to do. And many of them face no consequence for this. So why should they change? So what do we do in a society that isn't free? We have to hope and pray for change where we don't have to live with as many restrictions and regulations as there are now. There are many ways to do this, like elect new leaders, but that is a topic for another day. I will end this video on a more positive note to say that I won't be talking about political topics as much in the future. I desperately need to play Final Fantasy VII Remake and talk about it on my video game channel, as well as review movies and TV shows on this channel. Politics can be hard to avoid in current year, and so I'm sure politically charged topics will come up from time to time. Thank you for making it to the end of this video essay. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share your thoughts and questions in the comments section, and consider pressing that like button and subscribing. And please be kind to each other, as these are uncertain times. To conclude this video, I will leave you with a small clip of the wonderful overworld music from Bravely Default 2, a game I just purchased this weekend, which I will hopefully be playing after Final Fantasy VII Remake.